Hi friends, I have three all-new primitive farmhouse fall DIYs that I absolutely love and I think you will too. So come craft with me. I'm Sarah and welcome to my channel Primrose Lane Prims. If you haven't done so already, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button and craft with me in the future. And now let's get to these fall DIYs. For this first DIY, I'm going to be using this set of LED pillar candles that come from the Dollar Tree. These are $5 in the Dollar Tree Plus section, and they take 3 AAA batteries, and as you can see, they're actually really pretty candles. It's a pretty good deal. But as pretty as these are, I want to turn these primitive. So I'm going to start with some burnt umber apple barrel paint, and I just want to give this with a soft tip bristle brush. I'm going to go over this whole candle and just give it a nice coating of this burnt umber paint. I'm just giving this a really thin coat of this. I just want to turn my candle a darker color underneath because I'm going to be grunging it. So I wanted to have more of that dark undertone underneath. But this paint on here dries super fast with this really light coat. And I did not tape off the top of my little flame here. It doesn't have an opening or hole that goes down into the candle, and if you get a little bit of paint or grunge on it, it's okay. It actually, I think, adds to the entire appearance. After I have my apple barrel paint on, I'm going to go in with my matte finish Mod Podge, and I'm going to start giving my candle a really good coat of this Mod Podge. I'm going to start by doing half of my candle to start with. Once I get it halfway covered in my Mod Podge, I'm going to go and I'm going to take some cinnamon. This is just cinnamon I get from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to give it a really good coating of the cinnamon all over that wet Mod Podge. Mod Podge. Now I want to add a little variation and color here. So I'm also going to add in some freeze-dried coffee crystals here, this instant coffee. This is just Aldi instant coffee, but you can also find it at the Dollar Tree. It's pretty inexpensive. And this is some pretty big crystals. So I just took my little mortar pestle here and I just kind of crushed it up a little bit to make it just a little finer. So there's still some larger crystals, but they're finer too. And I'm just going to start sprinkling that over top of my cinnamon and then pressing it down into that Mod Podge. I want it to get down in there really good. And I'm not doing a full coating of this. This is just a smattering, I guess you would say, a smattering of the coffee because I want the multi-tone colors to come through in this. And this also smells really good, y'all. To get the front half done, I'm now going to cover the back half of my candle in my Mod Podge and repeat this whole process. This is a process too. You could use any candle to do this with, not just necessarily the Dollar Tree candles, any battery operated candle or even real candles for that matter, you could do this too. And the process would still work. Just if it's a real candle, you obviously don't want to get your wick covered in it. Once I have the outside of my candle done, I'm going to do the inside here around the flame part. And I'm just going to carefully go through, put my Mod Podge around the flame, not forgetting the little edges, the lip edge here around the top, and sprinkling this coffee and cinnamon down all around in there and pressing it down in that Mod Podge. Now I'm going to start dabbing another layer of Mod Podge underneath. And if you need to repeat this process too, if you don't feel it has enough grunging on it, then add a little bit more. If you see places that need a little more cinnamon, a little more coffee, just toss some right back up on there. But once you get it to where you like it, start taking a generous amount of Mod Podge and dabbing it. I'm not brushing it, I'm dabbing it, because I don't want everything to smear totally. It's okay if it smears a little bit, that's okay. But I want to dab and I want to add to this textured, grubby look with my Mod Podge while sealing it in and coating it. So just dab, 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 dab. And this is going to be pretty thick Mod Podge. This will take a few hours to completely dry and harden. If you're enjoying this video so far, I hope you'll consider giving it a like. And if you have not done so already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button so that you can craft with me in the future. Also, don't forget to put your Mod Podge in a separate bowl, unless you have a separate Mod Podge container specifically for grunging, because the cinnamon, the coffee mixture will get on your brush, and when you dip it back in, it will get into whatever container you're dipping your Mod Podge out of. So if you don't want future projects covered in cinnamon and coffee, you'll want to pour some in a separate bowl. Now, once you have your Mod Podge all over your candle, if you want to go back in like I'm doing here and just toss a little sprinkle of cinnamon and coffee here and there, it will add an even additional layer of coloring effect to these candles when they're all dry. And here is what they look like when they've completely dried. I think these are just so primitive and pretty. I absolutely love it. Now I want to embellish these a little bit, and I'm going to take some homespun fabric. This is some that it came pre-cut just in these strips, just like that. And I'm going to take, and I'm just going to tie a strip of this right around the center of my candle. And I'm not going to tie it in a knot yet. I'm just going to tie it once, but I'm going to leave some decently long tails because I'm going to add to it. Now I have these dried florals. This is dried wheatgrass and a dried orange flower, and I get these at Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to take about three or four of the dried wheat stems and several of the burnt orange flowers. These are so pretty for fall. And I'm just going to trim these down. And I'm going to place them right here in the center of where I tied this fabric, and then tie a second knot on top of it. I'm not going to glue these down because I want to be able to change out the florals for the different seasons. So say come Christmas time, I could add a sprig of pine here instead. And the flowers aren't glued, so these candles I can keep reusing for all the different seasons. Just changing out the florals or the fabric. Look how pretty. I think so, at least. I hope you do too. When these are all said and done, no one would ever know you got them from the Dollar Tree. For this next DIY, I am going to be using this canvas drop cloth. This is just a canvas drop cloth you can pick up at any home improvement store or Amazon. They're really inexpensive. They're great to craft with, and you can get a lot of projects out of them. And we're going to be making some no-sew primitive candy corn. And I am just going to cut out some triangles here. I am not using a pattern. I am just going to freehand these triangles because I think not having a perfect triangle for these little primitive candy corns just adds to the charm of them. I just double over my canvas so that way I'm cutting out both sides at once. And I'm just going to cut out several of these in multiple sizes. These are really versatile. These are also great to make for craft shows. If any of you do craft shows, they're easy to put together and really inexpensive to make, but they turn out really beautiful looking. At least I think so. I'm going to even make a really large one here. And this is about a 20-inch, I believe. Yeah, 20-inch piece of the drop cloth I have here. And I'm just going to cut out a really kind of long and narrow triangle out of this. So you can definitely see my triangles are perfectly imperfect, but that's how I wanted them. Once you have your little triangles cut out, just take some hot glue, put right around the edges, and press them down firmly together. But leave your bottoms open, as you'll see how good here and right around the corner. But then I want to leave the very bottom open so that we can stuff these here in just a moment. If you're somebody who sews, you could absolutely break out the sewing machine and sew these if you choose to. I just like to provide an alternative to sewing for all those out there who maybe don't sew or don't have a sewing machine handy, or don't have the time to hand stitch, which, as pretty as hand stitching is, it can take a little time. So this is just an alternative to sewing that works wonderfully. These hold together really well. Once this hot glue and this drop cloth bond together, they're together pretty well. I've never had mine come apart. Now, once I have all of my little triangles glued, I'm going to turn them inside out, or right side out, I guess. And just make sure your little tips here get pushed all the way out. Use my little scissors. They're kind of blunt tip scissors, and they work really well just to pop those tips out. So here's kind of what we're looking at once you do that. The larger ones can give you a little more trouble getting those tips popped out. They get a little narrow there at the end. Definitely need a tool of some sort to make sure those become pointy there at the ends. Next, I'm going to stuff our little candy corns. Now, this is just polyfill stuffing, or you could use old pillow stuffing. Maybe you have a pillow laying around that you don't use anymore, or as you know, out of date, seen better days. You could upcycle that, or you can just get the polyfill stuffing from the Dollar Tree. You could even use plastic shopping bags if you wanted to stuff these. You just want to make sure your stuffing gets all the way down in those tips. So you need to use a little tool in the larger ones to make sure those tips get stuffed. Just leave yourself a little room at the end here so that we can close these up. Once they're stuffed, as you can see, I'm just going to push my stuffing down and I'm just going to fold over my fabric, and then I'm going to just start hot gluing it closed. Now I usually start in the center. I don't know why on this first one I started on the end. It's usually easier to start in the center and then move out to the edges, which you'll see me do in the future ones. But for whatever reason, I decided to start on the end of this one, which can be a little harder, but it worked just the same. And here's how they look when they're all glued up. So you can see here on this one, I start gluing in the center because it is easier to start right here in the center, because that kind of holds your stuffing down and in so it doesn't keep wanting to pop up in your way and pop your fabric back out. Then move on to the ends. Just watch your fingers It's easy to have hot glue pop out there and get you. If any glue comes out the seams, just give it a couple minutes to start to cool, and then it just will pull right off. And here's all my little triangles sealed up. Next, I'm going to take some white paint, some orange, and some yellow. Now, the orange and yellow are just paint from the Dollar Tree, and the white is the Waverly White chalk paint from Walmart. And I am going to start with my white paint, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball this somewhat even sections here, and I'm going to paint the top section white, and I'm going to do both sides. This canvas, it's really great to paint on. It takes the paint really well. For the middle section, I'm going to do orange. And of course, the bottom section, I will be doing in the yellow. This orange is a little bright, but by the time I'm done, it'll tone down a little bit. I absolutely love decorating for fall. I'm now that I'm getting here in August, I'm getting the urge to start putting up my fall decorations. What about you all? When do you all start decorating for fall? Do you wait until September, or do you go ahead and do it in August? Let me know when you guys like to put up your fall decorations. If your sections aren't 100% even, or if you get a little yellow in the orange or orange in the white, that is okay. Like I said, these are primitive. These are supposed to have that handmade look to them. So don't, cut yourself some slack. If you get it a little bit, that's absolutely okay. It just adds to that primitive charm, in my opinion. Plus, we're going to do a little bit of grunging here, so that will help hide some things too. Just have fun with these. I think they're super cute little decoration to pop in a bowl filler or on a shelf or even in a tiered tray for fall. Now, once these are dryish, I'm going to take my Waverly Antique Wax and I'm just very lightly, I'm going to dab my brush after I have the antique wax on it on the paper towel to get the majority of it off. I just want a really light amount. And then I'm going to start going over these and just adding some of the antique wax here and there to give it that grungy, old, antique, vintage look. And if you don't like that look, then you can totally skip this part. This part is, this is totally up to what you like. If you prefer the clean look, that is, great. You can do as little as much and really just make this project your own. Do we have any candy corn lovers out there? I, for one, I love candy corn. My husband does not. And my kids are split. We are a house divided on candy corn. Who else out there loves candy corn? What do you guys think? Do you think it deserves to go in the trash or do you love it? Let me know where my candy corn lovers are. Once I have these distressed to my liking, I'm just going to take some of this 4-ply jute twine that I get from Walmart, and I'm just going to wrap it 3 times around the center and tie it off in a knot. Leave a little tail there, and then wrap it 3 times and tie it off. Next, I'm going to take some raffia. I'm going to take a decently long piece here, and I'm going to start in the front, place it along the front, cross it over in the back, bring it back around the front, and then tie it in a knot right over top where I tied my knot for my twine. And just trim your raffia down. Looks like I've given a scarecrow a haircut here on my table. Look how cute these are looking. For the last touch, I'm going to take these paper tags that I get off of Amazon. You can get a big bag of these really inexpensively. And I'm just going to take my fine tip Sharpie marker and I'm just going to freehand the word candy corn. And then I want to make these tags look like they've been around the block as well. So I'm going to crumple them all up in a little ball here, just really wrinkle them up really good. Next, I'm going to take my Waverly Antique Wax and I'm just going to go around. I want to go around, focus on the edges. I want those edges to look dirty, worn. These have been sitting around the farm for a while. They've gained a little dirt, little grime, aged with time. You can also use the distressing ink if you have that to do these. I just have the Waverly Antique Wax on hand, so that's what I use. Kind of a one-stop shop. Just going to use a little hot glue here and put a little dab on the tag and tuck it right underneath the knot here of my candy corn. You can even add a little glue there to the twine to make sure it stays put as well right there on top of the tag if you want to. And here they are. Look how cute these turn out. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. For this last DIY, it's just going to be a variation and an alternative to the candy corns of what you can do with these canvas triangles that we made. So here I have a large one and a smaller one that I made, and we're going to make a little Halloween decoration with this one. So if you like to decorate for Halloween, this is an easy but really primitive, beautiful little decoration that's not scary. And I'm just going to take my black Sharpie marker and I'm just going to draw 2 circles for eyes and 1 for a mouth. And yep, you guessed it, we're going to make an adorable little primitive ghost out of these. You could also use paint to do the eyes and mouth if you want, but I find that just a Sharpie marker works really well on these canvas drop cloths. Next, I'm going to go back in with my Waverly Antique Wax and I want to grunge these up a little bit, give them that antique, vintage, primitive farmhouse look. So I'm just going to, once again, very lightly dry brush a little bit of the antique wax here and there, focusing on the edges in particular, because when you see stuff that is aged and worn, it tends to gather the most wear, tear, dirt, and grime always on the edges or the seams. But then I want to go through the center as well and just add a little. And like I said, this is a part that you can really make it your own. You can add as little as, or as much as you like, or none at all. Next, I'm going to go in with my jute twine again. And just like with the candy corn, I'm going to take and I'm going to wrap this twine 3 times, about 3 times, 3 to 4 times around my little ghosts and just tie it in a knot. To finish these little ghosts off, I'm going to once again be taking these paper tags that I get off of Amazon and just a regular black Sharpie marker, and I'm just going to write the word boo because he's a ghost. He's super scary. He's got to say boo. Not really. These guys are pretty cute, I think, at least. I like cute ghosts. I like cute Halloween decorations. Of course, I have kids, so I don't ever want to make anything too scary. So I always go for the cuter decorations when it comes to Halloween. And I'm once again going to crumple these up because I want to make them look aged and worn. And then I'm going to take my Waverly Antique Wax, just like I did with the candy corn tags, and go around the edges and lightly in the center just to age and give it that aged antique look. Just going to take my hot glue once again and add a little bit to the bottom of that tag and tuck it right underneath that knot of my jute twine. And then I'm going to glue my twine knot down on top too so that it doesn't move around. And here we go, our cute little ghosts. Leave me a comment, guys, and let me know which was your favorite for today. I can't decide. I love them all. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I hope you'll consider giving it a like, maybe share it with your friends, and if you haven't done so already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss any future fun and easy budget-friendly DIYs for around the home. And until next time, happy crafting, friends.